Welcome to Journey Through the Gate, your paranormal portal podcast, as we delve into the many questions and wonders brought on by the supernatural experience. What's on the other side of the gate? Let's find out together. Welcome to Journey Through the Gate. And right now I have got goosebumps getting this one started. I absolutely love the spirit I have on the other side of this phone. We're going to have such a walk through the gate today. Now, she was on another episode which absolutely blew up on social media and touched so many hearts through her words, through her vibration, through the things she's learned on this side of the gate. But today we're going to walk through and see what she's learned from the other side. So, her name is Claire Broad. She is the happy medium, and she is the best-selling author, medium, of 2 books. Well, probably more than one, but I have 2 here. The newest being What the Dead Are Trying to Teach Us, Lessons Learned from the Afterlife. And what are we always talking about on this show? You know, what can we learn about life from the dead? Who aren't really dead, by the way. Just saying. Okay, so let's bring her on. I'm going to tell you right now before I forget, her new YouTube channel under the same name. You can find it under Claire Broad. I absolutely tell every one of you, please subscribe, hit that notification bell, because you are going to get messages from this dear lady that you need to hear at the time you need to hear them. I promise you that. Without further ado, my dear, dear friend, Miss Claire Broad. Come in here, Claire.
Hi, Cisco. Hi to all your listeners. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, gosh, it's my pleasure. I mean, there are certain people I have on here, and I get so excited to have them, and I feel the tears welling up in my eyes. And I don't get emotional much, but when I do, I know I've made that connection to that inner light that we try to protect so much because it touches you. You touch me, and I just love you so much, dear. How have you been?
I've been good. I've been extremely busy.
I know.
I think the spirit world, if you ever get a message from the spirit world telling you what it is that you came to do for them, and when they start to ask you to do it, hang on tight, because they mean business.
It's a train ride, isn't it?
It's a roller coaster. I'm trying to just hang on in there and just honor what they want, and I just can't believe the opportunities and the doors that are opening. You know, it's just amazing, isn't it, when you start to live your truth and own who you really are, and be fully in that embodiment of this is me, and you can take me or leave me, and right. I've got something to give, and if it's something that you need, wonderful, and if it doesn't resonate with you, that's great, you can let it go, and I'm not going to be ashamed or quietened or worried about those out there that want to put me down or call me a fraud or say through ignorance, because they don't know me, that my practice isn't being done in the best way or whatever. You always get that out there. Once you start to come into your own self and just be you, I mean, it's liberating.
It is. It's like almost like you rise above it, because you're going to have people that stand on the sidelines and throw rocks. You don't have to let them hit you.
No, you don't have to own it, do you? It doesn't have to reach you.
Absolutely. And there's going to be ones that try to stop you because they might be getting influenced by something that doesn't want you to continue on, because you're helping people, because people are learning the secrets to this life on this plane, in this earthly plane, because they're starting to learn that this is a journey. They're starting to learn that this is their path. They may have very well chosen this path. And you've got to go through the rocky hard left turns. You have to go through the uphill battles, to get to the other stuff. Because I had an elder tell me once, in Native American powwow, we're sitting around the circle, and he said, if this path was always easy, how would we know the beauty when we saw it? Because we'd be so used to it. So it's all about the journey, and it really isn't where you wind up. It's how you get there and what you do with it. There's going to be trials and tribulations, and people just don't get that.
Absolutely. And I actually find, from the people that challenge me, I grow and learn, because it's not until you're challenged or someone's opposite viewpoint is given to you that you think and go deeper within yourself and find inner strength or courage or question. A lot of my work, I make no secret of the fact that, I've grappled with trying to understand it myself. What does it mean to an afterlife existing and consciousness continuing and life being a continuum? What's that mean? Have I understood that right? And do these people have valid points? So, I don't actually, it's quite nice actually when somebody now can say something to me and I can realize, like you're saying, that's their viewpoint, that's their opinion. It's just an image in their minds. It's not reality. And can I actually see something in that I can learn from? It actually, is a powerful position to be in. And I think many people who come into a spiritual way of thinking, and especially beginners or people who have maybe never been touched by mediumship before and have heard all the fearful things that can come along with it, come in very reticent and very quietly. They don't want to tell friends and family that they've been to see a practitioner or that they're even believing in this way that can their loved ones communicate. They're very sensitive, and they're trying to protect themselves from the hurt they may feel if their beliefs are challenged. But actually, after a while, if you can find the strength to just own your truth, I find that more and more people now who are owning their own truths are gravitating towards me. So you find your tribe, and you just like you, Cisco, you're suddenly surrounded in love and empowerment. And it sounds really trite, but whereas I used to feel very much out on a limb, no one else, who else was having these experiences around me in everyday life, or who else thought like this? I'm on my own in this. Apart from the fact I was very fortunate with my own mother who was very spiritual, but in general, everyday life and in your jobs, you kind of, I was anyway. I used to be very closeted. But I didn't realize that once you start talking to people and owning it, more and more people feel safe to let you know they've had similar experiences.
Isn't that true? And I'm just, as you're saying this, I know when I get around certain people where everybody in the room has a knowing of some level to this. The shoes come off, you go barefoot, you start dancing, the light, everything is just lifted. And it's such a different thing from walking into the break room at work where everybody's, It's just different. And when you get a taste of that, you start seeking it out for yourself, whether you go on a hike to the, a mountain, or, in the woods, a trail, or plant a garden and get your hands in the earth, or go walk on the beach and put your toes in the sand, or whatever it may be, lighting a candle, listening to beautiful music, dancing barefoot in your kitchen, whatever you got to do to lift your vibration. Once you get a taste of that, you can notice the lower vibration coming. You know how to handle a little bit better. It's almost like when you get to this point, you might be around a coworker or whatever it may be, or that person in line, at the grocery store. And you just start thinking to yourself, this might help some people listening. Don't react to that person the way you normally would. Try this. They're a younger soul and they don't know. They're just a younger soul and they haven't learned yet. They haven't evolved to the next level. It doesn't mean they're not capable of it. They're just not where you are. And you kind of vision yourself sitting on the side on a beautiful rock, maybe sitting around a field of daisies or wildflowers or whatever. And you're watching these people go by and they're grumbling and they're stumbling along the way and complaining and falling down and crawling and trying to, I can't get up. That's the way life is. And you're just kind of sitting there going, you can do this. It's your journey. Get up and walk it.
Mm.
And you're just kind of chilling over there with the flowers and the birds are singing on your side, and you can't feel guilty because you earned that spot, because you
That's
walked your
true.
journey. What do you think about that?
I absolutely. I think you get to a point actually where you start to realize that the drama no longer serves you,
Yep.
and that you'd rather just sit there in a state of, I don't know, acceptance, I suppose. Here, this is what's going on. Life's hard.
Hmm.
It's hard for everybody. There isn't anybody who gets off
Hmm.
easy or lightly. You
Hmm.
know, we can look to other people thinking they've got it all real easy. No one has, because we've all got a mind and we are all suffering with the same problem, which has got to get on top of our thoughts.
Hmm.
And our thoughts either create our well-being or they, create our illness, and even worse, sometimes, send us off the edge. So I think that there isn't a single person who isn't actually going through a difficult time, because everybody has a brain and thoughts and activity going through their head. And once you start to get to that point where you think, I don't want that drama anymore, I'm letting that go. I'm not going to identify with that. I'm just going to, have this emotion. I feel angry right now, but I'm not going to add to it.
Hmm.
Or, I'm feeling challenged or sad right now. Well, I'm just going to, I'll have my tears,
Hmm.
and then I'll move on. I just think then you don't know, you're no longer buying into all of that either.
Hmm.
So you're not being touched by, you can sit in your field and watch it.
Yeah.
Watch other people acting it all out around you in the craziness, because you just know something. I don't know about you, Cisco, but it's very true what Buddhist monks and
Yes.
people that have done mindfulness say. There is an element of detachment, and it's
Hmm.
not that you don't care anymore, it's that you're able to just sort of stand back.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
you're caught up in the challenges and the difficulties in this life, and sometimes they drag you down.
Hmm.
But at some point, you can actually stand back and see, oh look, I'm reacting there, or
Hmm.
that this drama's playing out, and I don't have to be sucked into it to the degree that I might have been once.
Hmm.
And that's I think when the healing starts to set in, and that's when you get in touch with your true essence of the spirit of who you are and the spirit world, isn't it?
And your spirit guides, because I know if you ask for help, and people think differently. I don't know how to describe this, but I feel like I need to say this now. It's like they reach out and they say, okay, the bargaining. I've been here many a time. I can remember when my mother was sick, and I would bargain with God, and I'd say, if you just make her better, make her well, I'll never lie again, or I'll be this, I'll do this, I'll do, you have that bargaining thing going on. Or you have that prayer or that thought, or if you just get me this job, I'll do this. And then it doesn't happen, and you go, okay, well, I don't believe anymore. And we have to understand that sometimes prayers that are answered no are our greatest miracles, because when we go on the other side, we go, woof, I didn't know what I needed. Because if I got that, this wouldn't have happened. Or if sometimes we just have to enjoy the journey, and that's so hard to let go, because we think we're in control of everything. We're really in control of nothing but ourselves and how we react to it. We can't control that person. We can only control how we react to that person's actions toward us or whatever. And once you let that go, the battle is just so much easier. It kind of flows above you, like everybody's floating in an ocean, and everybody's going to handle trying to. Some are going to doggy paddle, some are just laying on their back floating, some are struggling and pulling others down with them, and you just get in the lifeboat and drift. Or
Yeah.
you can't save everybody. You have to be comfortable where you are, and that doesn't mean we're not going to have trials and tribulations. We are. We just react to them differently,
Exactly.
And I think that with your book and the one I wrote and the things that we do, we're learning from the dead that are communicating or visiting through others or coming to us and telling us that. It's the little things. Enjoy the everyday smiles, the birds, the sunshine coming up, the little things. Let go of the regret, the jealousy, the hatred, the anger, the whatever it may be, the lower vibrational things. because it's really all about how to get through those. That, you see what I mean? The lessons from the dead. What have you learned from the dead about living in this earthly plane?
Well, when I wrote What the Dead Are Dying to Teach Us, it was funny because I knew the spirit world wanted me to write a book. They'd asked me to write a book. They told me when it was going to happen. They told me when I would start writing.
Wow.
And I wasn't quite sure what it was that they wanted to bring through me, because I'd written Answers from Heaven with Teresa Chung. I'd written half a book with her, and I'd had the guidance of her stellar talent as an author, because she's written 100 books. So I'd kind of been I've been handheld through that, if that makes sense, even though everything I've written in Answers from Heaven is totally my words, and Teresa didn't play with them at all. She left me to it.
A beautiful book, by the way. Beautiful book. Highly recommend it to everybody.
Oh, thank you. Yes, it's a hug. I think particularly if people have had grief, if they're suffering with their grief, it's still raw and they need some ray of light or hope. Answers is great, I think, for that. But I started to question what it is then that the spirit world, what was it they wanted me to write now? Because I thought I was done with Answers from Heaven. I thought I'd answered their call, and yet messages started to come through saying, no, there's a book we want you to write. You start writing in February 2018. I had no way of knowing whether that would even come true, because I wasn't seeking book deals, or I'm a very, very busy spiritual practitioner. So that's where my energy is mostly. And so as I get the phone call, just sitting in my living room, book deals don't happen like this, but I'm getting a phone call saying, we want you to write for us,
Wonderful.
And it was Watkins Media, and I just couldn't believe how it was unfolding. And come February 2018, there it was. The book deal was all done, dusted, signed, and I started writing. So I sat down and just said, okay, if you want me to write for you, I'm here. What is it you want to even call the book? And boom, there comes the title, What the Dead Are Dying to Teach Us. And it just the title in itself was a lesson for me, because it's a play on words.
Right.
Because what the dead are dying to teach us, they're not dead.
Right.
And they're dying because they actually can't wait to get this knowledge to as many people as possible. There's an urgency, it seems, on their behalf to try and help as many of us who are willing to open their minds up to a greater knowledge or greater awareness. So just the title I learned from as that came in. And then what followed as I wrote over a period of 16 months, I realized the book took its own life. I mean, I was supposed to be following a book proposal, as many, publishers ask you to do. But the book started to breathe its own life. That went out the window. And as my editor and I looked at what was coming through, we realized there were 7 core lessons, and that within the framework of that, we could bring tips and tools to people who want to have their own connection to spirit. Everyday people, not mediums, people, just everyday people who want to feel that closeness with their own loved ones in spirit. It would give them a base, a framework to begin that communication. So the lessons that I got, the 7 lessons were that first and foremost, we need to start looking at ourselves in a different way, that we are predominantly, and this isn't new, but this is what spirit have shown me over my lifetime and 23 years as a practitioner, is that we're spiritual beings first and foremost, and that we need to look at ourselves in a different light and understand that that's who we are before the physical, that we are spirit and that we're eternal beings, and that life then isn't so difficult or dire, or so, I think many of us can have midlife crisis or feel like life's running away with us, because let's face it, most of our lives are a blink of an eye. And I speak to many people that have suffered with anxiety around death, because they see themselves as just this physical body that is going to go within 50 to 100 years at best. Some people younger, they get there's a lot of people suffering with anxiety because they don't understand their core essence. So that's the first lesson. The second one is that death is an illusion. It continues on from that. And when I talk about that, I don't mean that death isn't a real thing that happens, because clearly we lose our loved ones and we lose the physical presence of them, and that hurts, and we miss them and we grieve them. It's not to make light of that, but it's my own experiences throughout my life that have shown me that life is a continuum, and that, you know, ultimately there is no such thing as death, just the ending of one state of being and the beginning of another. Another lesson that I learned here is that we are never alone. Yes. I share stories in the book about how the spirit world unfolded and showed themselves to me throughout my whole life, because I was 4 when I gave my first message from spirit, but then in my teenage years I was getting even more information, and in my 20s and right up until now, I have learned that we are guided, and that we never walk this path on our own, even when we feel that we are. And that it's really important to understand that there are people that have our back in spirit. And even though they can't do the work for us because it isn't helpful, just as it isn't helpful with our own children to do everything for them, that there is always that guiding presence, just saying, you can do it. You can do it. You know, don't forget who you are. Don't forget we're here. Don't forget, that there is much more involved in this life than you can imagine and see right now. You can't see the bigger picture, and just keep going with it. Be that light in the world. Keep going.
Absolutely. And
talking about, sorry, no, go on.
I was just going to tell you that as you're speaking, I'm getting guardian angel, and I just wanted to put this out there for the listeners. Many times I get the question, or I come across the question, or people not understanding. They say, well, guardian angel, I have a guardian angel. And why did the guardian angel let that happen? Hold on a minute. I think we misunderstand spirit guides, guardian angels, helpful spirit, whatever. Because if you're supposed to hit that tree, you're going to hit the tree. Your guardian angel had nothing to do with letting it happen or whatever. It's your life path and your choices, your things led you to that spot. What you should be asking is, what am I supposed to learn from hitting the tree? How am I supposed to react to, and I'm metaphorically just putting up like, a car accident hitting the tree or whatever. Or, why did this happen to all these people? How would guardian angels or spirit guides or God or creator or whatever you want to put a name on it, how did they let that happen? That entity had nothing to do with that. What it had to do with was the soul that was involved in it. It was either their choice, their life path, their exit point, their this, their that. What are we supposed to learn from it? And that's from a woman who is sitting here telling you, I've lost 4 children. Of not my own choices or what I know as my own reaction, to things or what I did. And I've had to come through that, as he lost some little babies, but any mom will tell you that once that spirit is with you, it's a loss. And, losing other things and having tragedies happen. But you come through those things going, okay, am I supposed to learn from this? How am I supposed to react? How's everybody around me reacting? How's everybody that's involved in it? They each have something to learn from it. And you look at it differently. And I think that's one thing I've learned from the dead who come back and told us, look, just you go through it, help others, try not to be drugged down by it and weighted down by it. And stop blaming guardian angels and spirits for letting things happen when you're the only one that's involved in it. They're there to help you through the aftermath or the beginning or going through it. But they have to stand back and allow these bad things to happen or these things to happen. Just like when you're a parent, you have to do the same for your children. You can teach them, you can help them, you can guide them, but ultimately it's their choices and their journey. What do you think about that?
I absolutely agree. And also the other thing is, I don't think we'd want there to be that level of interaction and control.
Mm-hmm.
I know when for 20 years I was receiving messages over and over again from different spiritual practitioners and directly that the spirit world wanted me to write for them. And I, was dismissing this request because I didn't believe that I had what it took to write, because I'd never tried, because I didn't have the confidence. I'd failed exams at school that just led me to believe that, no, you're not good enough in that respect. And it's only with maturity and realizing, actually, I'll have a go at this. I'll put my trust in them. It took 20 years. But actually, when it started to play out and when these messages were coming through and the book deals were happening and it seemed, just happened like it was happening to me. I didn't go and seek any of it. I started to get a bit frustrated, as in, look, do I have a choice in this? Is everything mapped out to that degree that I haven't even got a choice in this?
Right.
And I was kicking back, to be quite honest. So even when my spirit guides were telling me, this is what's coming, this is what we want you to do, we're supporting you, I was kicking back. Don't tell me what I'm going to do. I don't want to be controlled. So actually, I don't think we'd want to be.
True.
And the beauty of it was that actually when it came down to it, when I had to, I can remember it sitting in front of my computer I had my pen and my paper there, and I'm thinking, okay, make me right. Go on, make me right. No one could make me right. It had to be a two-way process of choice on my behalf then to actually, play along. And that's when I realized we've all got free will, and it's a beautiful thing. Mm-hmm. And sometimes because of that, it means that circumstances sometimes come together that create tragedy or very difficult circumstances. Where if I have people sitting with me, clients who just can't understand or make sense the death of a younger loved one, for instance, mm-hmm. It's not because everything's plotting against them and that their guardian angel decided to have the day off. It's because our choices that we're making all through our lives and the choices of everybody else around us and the natural circumstances of the earth and everything else, the weather, whatever, is all coming together into just that perfect scenario to create that outcome. And it isn't personal. I think that's what people find hard to understand. It's not personal. It's just that this is life and this is the circumstances that have created in front of you, and how you're going to now manage that, deal with that, learn from it, as you say, grow from it, turn it to your advantage, and know that you are never alone in that there is somebody willing you along, supporting you, giving you strength from the sidelines in spirit, and knowing that ultimately there is great gain and nothing is ever lost. And it's because I believe that ultimately, as if we were to even stand back further and look at us all as one species, or even just one life, one consciousness, I believe that awareness, consciousness is all evolving and growing into ever higher expressions of itself through us. And that means we, as you're saying from your elders, we have to experience the up with the down, the dark with the light, because we cannot know ourselves if we don't. Mm-hmm. And it's a tough lesson, and it seems a very difficult life to me. I find sometimes I find myself thinking, as I get older, life just gets harder.
Yeah, it does. And even with I find with enlightened beings or people such as yourself, that we know that these things happen. We tend to forget. We get bogged down with the earthly things that happen. We have bad days where we walk through.
Absolutely.
And we forget. Hold on. Step back. This has been a bad day. Stuff just keeps coming. And what do you do in that case? You have to stop for a second and go, all right, just tap the brakes. I'm gonna take this moment, even if it's in your bathroom, light a candle, do what you want to do. Take a hot shower, let the water run over you, and just think of it as a golden light rushing over and down your head, and just all that stuff going down the drain, and just take a second to go, okay, I cannot change anything that's happened to me. What am I going to do with? What are my choices that I can do with the things that have happened today? I can't change a loved one being sick or a loved one going down a path I don't want to see them go down. What am I supposed to do? And sometimes you have to step back away from it. Just like looking at something too close, you're not going to see it. Back away, back away, back away, back away, and say, is this something that they are supposed to go through? Probably. Did I lose my job today because I'm supposed to have another one that's better suited for me down the line? Path changes, hard turns, take it, see what happens. And see if we can back away from it a little bit and stop trying to fix it. I mean, sometimes we can't fix it. We're only supposed to let it be broken for a while till it fixes itself or it collapses. We can't change everything. And knowing what you can control and what you can do with it I think it's half the battle, and how you react to it.
I think so. I think the secret of life is understanding that the only thing you're ever in control of is your state of being and how you choose to respond to something. My nan used to say to me, I write about her in the book actually, because she was very psychic and, she big influence on my life. But she used to say, if you want to make God laugh, tell him your plans. And I just think that's it. I think many of us obviously we need to have goals that we're shooting towards, right, and giving us direction in life. That's very helpful. But sometimes we actually believe that we are totally in control of that journey, and we're not, because there are so many different factors involved and many other minds creating that outcome around us. And it is understanding that you have a choice. Yeah, something bad has happened. It's normally that's something external to you, but even if it's your own health, receiving a blow with regards to your own health, how you then choose to go forward with that is, I think, the defining moment. It's when you start to understand who you really are. And that's what I mean when I say in the first chapter that your spirit, it's understanding your indestructible nature, and it's through the real challenges that you understand that, because what doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
It's so true. We say it all the time, and we'll hear that God doesn't give you anything that you can't handle. And then you'll get the joke at the end that says, I wish you didn't think so much of me. I mean, but we tell ourselves these little quips, but that's our inner, our human self, our human earthly side that's telling us these little things of, okay, well, how did you say that? Did you say that with a laugh and a lift, like, okay, well, here it comes, here's another life lesson. Wasn't ready for this. It was a Monday. I had other plans. I was going to do this, and this, and then this happened. Are you going to learn from that? Are you going to fight against it? Because if you're fighting against it, you're just wasting your energy that you could be putting in towards getting through it, or getting on the other side of it, or backing away from it and helping yourself. But I think it's so funny. Did you say in a kind of an, I love Eeyore in the Pooh series. Each character really has its own human characters. And Eeyore is always losing his tail. And it's like, okay, it's Tuesday. I lost my tail. I know people like that. And then you've got
defeatist.
People, oh my gosh. And they're just dragging through. And then you've got, Pooh who just wants his honey. And he's just, trudging along, enjoying his journey. And he's, just to get to that next jar of honey, and loving his friends. And I know that sounds so silly, but if you have coworkers, you're in a business, you've got an Eeyore, you've got a Pooh, you've got a rabbit, you've got the wise owl who thinks he knows everything and just sits there and watches everything and tells everybody what they're doing and why. You really have that kind of thing. And it's like, what do you want to be? Do you want to be an Eeyore and lose your tail all the time? Or do you want to be, just get to the next jar of honey? It's all depends on how you want to look at your life. It's your life. I believe we have free will here and we have free will on the other side, I think, to
I
choose
believe
what
that.
we're doing. Do you?
I know we do, because based on just the fact that, I was told I'd be doing this writing, and yet I still had to choose.
Fighting it all the way.
I know we do.
Yeah, I do
exactly.
Same thing, kiddo. Same thing. And I'm one of those people that I do so many different things, and I enjoy doing them. I'm at that part of my life where I'm not doing anything I'm not happy doing. I'm tired of it. I'm not in it for the money. I'm not in it for this. I'm not in it for that. I'm in it for what I get out of doing it. So whether it's making a piece of jewelry or a dream catcher or doing, florist and arranging flowers or doing a podcast or writing a book. I mean, people say, well, how do you do so many things? I say, I do them one at a time. Sometimes I do things, all at once. I'll go from one room to the next, and because it's a meditation, it keeps me sane. When I do things with my hands and I do creative things, it's a meditation to me. I feel cleansed and rejuvenated. Let's put it that way. Somebody else might bake. Somebody else might, go get their hair done or their nails done. That's their time to just for them, a long bath or a long walk outside. We all have different things, and we need to remember what those things are, because when we need them is the time, when tragedy hits or something like that we're not going to remember that those things feel good to us. The chocolate bar and the Hallmark movie, whatever it may be, it could be anything. I tell my son, nothing is going to ever be, when my house is clean, you look for the tragedy, because something happened that was out of my control. So I had to do something that I could control, like do the dishes or the laundry or mop the floor, and stay out of my way while I'm doing it, because I'm rejuvenating. And if my house is dirty and a little unkept, I'm the happiest. Because
it's a good rule.
Well, it's true, because we tend to, I think, especially womankind, I find that if we lose control in something, we try to do something that we can control. Like, say we have a life-changing event, we get our hair cut or change the color. Mm-hmm. Do you ever notice that? Or
yes, I do.
Go buy new
actually
outfit, something. So funny.
Yeah, we do. And I actually think that where I'm getting with it now is when things start, I don't know if you've ever had it where you suddenly, you think life's ticking along lovely, it's all smooth, and then somebody points out to you that there's a problem. Something happens with somebody else around you that you love or whatever.
Right.
And, you've been going along in your own merry way thinking, this is good. We're having a smooth patch. And then somebody there you suddenly bring into your attention, no, actually, I have a problem.
Yeah.
And burst your bubble. And then now you're into, I go into like free fall, where I feel like, oh God, everything, I thought things were perfect or going as well as they might do. And now I've discovered they haven't. And now we've got this issue, and how are we going to get over this? And for a moment, I kind of lose it. And then I realize, I think one of the most powerful questions I ask myself actually is, now, can I look at this from a different perspective? Mm-hmm. Because I think we all do it. We run away with learnt or habitual behavior. We go to the fear. We go back to as it was as a child. We want to try and control. The brain, I think, thinks, oh, there's a problem here. We're not safe. We need to sort it. It wants to question and think. You can't concentrate on anything else. You don't even know if you're walking out of a shop, what direction you want to go in. You can't remember what you were doing 5 minutes ago, or like me, I'm walking into one room in a house and can't remember why I've gone in there. We all have times like that where we're not functioning. And it's at those times when I can start to think to myself, okay, can I try and see this from a different perspective? Like you're saying, stand back up, do something. Maybe it is cleaning, getting your hair done or whatever. Do something that breaks that pattern of habitual thinking so that you can create an element of peace, even just for a few minutes. For me, it's meditation now. I put on lovely music, and I just try and focus on the sounds of the music and stop the thinking. just to have, I feel my whole body relax and my nervous system
Mm-hmm.
be given a little bit of a break, even if it's for 30 seconds,
Mm-hmm.
because life is going to do this to us.
Yeah.
And I think one of the things is one of the other lessons in the book I wrote about is that how we can rise above fear, because I think that fear is a major factor. I think many of us live in the future or a projected future, trying to think, well, what could happen if that, how do I
Oh, that's
manage,
true. Yes.
yeah, the least worst outcome for me,
Mm-hmm.
or what if this happens, or so we're living in this kind of fear based reality that hasn't even happened yet, trying to make sure that we suffer as least as possible in this life.
Boy, that's true.
And that, I think that bleeds into spirit communication and mediumship, because people are really fearful of even opening up the doorway between themselves and this greater dimension, because they've been fed fear.
Uh-huh.
And actually, once you start to realize, no, it's actually essential for me to get in touch with my eternal nature,
Right.
with the essence of who I am, and to open that doorway to have well-being and to be able to live to my full potential,
Mm-hmm.
then you can start to rise above that fear.
True.
Because I think we all fall foul to that. That's one of the lessons in the book that's come to me. When you explore, I don't know about you, Cisco, but when you get the guts to explore spirit communication,
Uh-huh.
you are going to have to face your fears at some point, whether that's the fear of death or the fear of, things that go bump in the night, fear of the
The whole
dark,
thing.
fear of religion, fear of demons. I don't know what it is, but
Right. Fear. Just
something
fear.
was,
Fear of
it was
fear of ending. I think we're scared in some cases. Listening to what you're saying, I think a lot of things too are. There's a lot of different apprehension there. It's like, not only are we going to hear from somebody on the other side, but what do they know? Did they see me do this? Did they see me do that? How do they feel about me? And you start thinking about these. Well, if they saw me dancing in the bedroom with the blue dress on when I was thinking about them, did they see me steal the candy bar? Did they see me, do something that you're not proud of? Yes. And I think that this is so strange, and I can't believe I'm telling you this. It's just you and I. But I remember when I was alone, because when my mother passed, basically I was an orphan. My dad was gone, my mom was gone. And I think what kept me completely from going bad, because I had all this anger and this angst, and, I was a teenager.
Yeah.
Was knowing, not thinking, knowing that somewhere she could see me. So no matter how much I tried to kid myself that she wasn't seeing me getting a little too tipsy or a little bit too this or going down a dark road, it always pulled me back just a little. Because you can't have it both ways. You can't say that they're watching, they see me, and they see me do all the good things and are so proud of me. You can't have it both ways. If they see all of it. And that'll keep you straight. I'm telling you.
No, it does. I can remember when my aunt died. My aunt kept her house meticulous. She was just had a way of making everything just look so homely and perfect. And it's just in the smallest of ways. But I remember when she died, suddenly me thinking, oh my God, I bet she's come to visit. Look, she's going to think, Claire,
Yes.
I didn't know you were so scruffy, or you're so.
I've done the same thing, Claire. I swear I've done the same thing. And I said, oh my gosh, they're going to see this. They're going to see that. It's like, okay, this is what you need to tell yourself, because this is what I tell myself, and it gets me through. If they know me, they know me. If they know me, they know what's in my heart, and that I just don't care. That this is this. And it's not that important to me to have a clean oven, or I'm not a good cook. They know me. Why would they expect me to make a perfect cake when they know I can't boil an egg? You can't have these high expectations for yourself, because if they're seeing it, your spirit guides, then they know your inner person. You're here to do something else. You're here to do something else. And you have to know your inner person. You have to be okay with you. You can't not be okay with you and expect other people around you to be. You've got to stop reaching out to get other people's approval of you. You need to approve.
Absolutely.
You need to approve of you first. And if you don't, fix it. Or fix it the best you can. You might not have the straightest persona or character. You're going to have kinks and turns and dents and nicks. And I think those are the most beautiful souls, because when you're okay with it, yeah, I've got dents. I've got a lot of scars. They got good stories. You want to hear them? That's me. It's like, this is me. And I walk into a situation and people might get intimidated by like, what's her story? She doesn't seem to care, or she doesn't seem to this and that. Listen, it's too trivial for me to bother with right now. That's yours to deal with, not mine. And you start getting acceptance of yourself. If you're broken in some way and you can fix it, or you can splint it, and at least stand it up for a second to get through that, do it. Because things are going to happen in life. We're going to lose people. We're going to lose pets. We're going to have grief. We're going to have sadness. Things aren't going to work out the way we wanted them to. But if you're at one with your inner self, your inner light, that inner light is all you need to see in the darkness, the darkest of days. Just ride it out. Ride it out. That's all I can say. That's what I've learned, and that's how I get to the next minute. Sometimes only the next minute, one more step. Not tomorrow, not next week, not next year. Sometimes one more step, because that in some days that one step can be the hardest step we've ever taken, especially when someone we love is going through trauma, or someone you love is sick and you can't fix it. You can only love them through it. Love them through it. And that is the number one best message I've ever gotten from the other side, when my mother said, you cannot fix it. It is their journey. Just love them through it.
And that's so perfect, because that's one of the lessons I've written in here. One of my chapters is called Love Never Dies, because it's the one thing that carries us all, that continues on. And whether like you say, whether your loved ones are coming back and visiting you in visitation, they don't care about your uniqueness or your scruffiness or whatever. They love you. Mm-hmm. And the same with if you're with somebody who's suffering, what are they doing from spirit? They're loving us through it. Mm-hmm. They're exactly that, aren't they? They're loving us through our life, through our challenges, they're just there loving us through it. It's mm-hmm. such good advice at Cisco. Mm-hmm. Because I just think that,
it's hard. It's hard.
It is. And many people even question whether love exists. But in my experience, given the fact that two worlds can be drawn together because of it, then it absolutely is the most powerful emotional state of being I think you can even have.
I think it's the highest. I think it's above ultimate. I think unconditional love, which we can say, but it's so hard to achieve. Think of that, unconditional love. Did you love your child? Seriously, did you love your son even though he just stole your debit card out of your purse and took it off and bought drugs with it? Do you still love him? You bet you do. You didn't like it. You were hurt by it. You were, you didn't know what to do with it. Or, you see what I'm saying? Or, you found out your husband was cheating. Why am I not enough? Why we turn to do those things. Why am I not? Why didn't he love me enough? What is it about me that made him do that? Stop it. That was his choice. He did that, or she did that, or this happened. We have to stop blaming ourselves. Maybe we're not perfect. Maybe we did push them away, but their ultimate choice was what they chose. It's their free will. And maybe we're just supposed to learn from it. Maybe it makes you be a better person and think about nagging or thinking about this or being a different person. It's all a journey. It's little things. And that's one of the things too about, I've talked to my listeners a lot about pets. When you have that dog, that's unconditional love. The one that meets you at the door, the one that sits and puts his head on your lap when you're crying or you're upset because it knows you have that emotional, it can read emotions, or that cat that, just climbs up on your chest like you've had a bad day, but my God, he's right here and he loves you. It's like I say at work sometime. It's like, I'm punching out. I'm going to go home and be worshipped by my cat. And I know that sounds so funny, but my whole point in bringing that up is they don't have all that earthly junk, and that's why I'll argue with anybody to the ground that says that animals don't have a soul and don't cross over, because I know they do. I don't think they're...
I do.
I think they speed over so fast it's not even funny, because I've had them go and come back that night healed. Quick story. My husband lost a kitty not too long ago, and the kitty had a limp, like a weak one weaker a weaker leg than the other three, and he had his little pattern. He would jump on the bed and he would come up one side, and my husband would be asleep, and he would always tuck in the little curve of his knees there. That was his ritual every night. He passed, and I laid on the floor with him for 2 days, waiting for him to hold his little paw, and just loved him through it. It's all I could do at that point, and made sure that he wasn't alone. And that evening, I felt the pitter pat come up the bed. Except he was
wow.
It was all four paws.
Oh,
do you see what I'm saying? It was all four. Instead of one jump, two, it was one, and I'm like, you little Dickens, that was fast. And I literally said it out loud to him. I said, you can stay, but don't, because I know they don't come back for them. They come back to comfort us through our grief, because they care, just like in life, they care more about us than they do themselves. And I said, you can come, but I said, but don't get stuck. Don't stay. We'll get him through this. He's going to be okay. You go do what you got to do. But all four paws. Now, how about that?
Well, this is it. We've got so much to learn, haven't we?
But how fast? It's amazing.
I think it's because they're not held back in it, like I'm saying, in the thoughts or the suffering or habitual thinking or learnt thinking. They're just in the moment, aren't they? So they're it's 1 beautiful. Minute they're here, the next minute they're in spirit, and they just adapt. And so the healing can take place as easy as that, because they're not reliving it in their minds, are they? It's free of it and accepting that.
A little cat taught me one of the best lessons I've ever had. And I just, oh my gosh, and you think about that. And along with the lessons I learned from losing people I love, especially my mom. And I was talking to you about it earlier about, somebody told me once, and I think I took it wrong the first time I heard it, because you said vantage points, and it said grief and emotion and sadness can hold them down. And I didn't quite understand it, and it scared me at first, because I thought, okay, she's coming to visit me every night in her earthly state, hurt and still in pain, very much like exactly like she looked in the hospital. And I thought, oh my gosh, I'm holding her back. She can't cross because I'm in pain. I'm crying. I'm scared. Is she scared for me? Is she staying here to watch over me to make sure I'm okay? I think all those things were true all at the same time. And there were times, Claire, where she came and I'm not even sure she was aware of where she was, because when I woke up, she seemed to be as startled as I was. And just poofed out. So I'm thinking, a mother's love, was she just so connected in love to me, both of us together, this emotion being so strong, the tether, she may not even had willfully shown up there. She might have been, like I said, just as surprised at where she was as I was. Because that love connection was there. And you see what I mean? I often wonder if ghosts see us as the ghost.
Oh, I've often thought that. I'm sure they do. I mean, because that in spirit they always tell us, don't they, that their reality is as real, if not more vivid and real, than our own.
True.
So they're seeing through a filter like we are. Where they're not. I doubt very much they're seeing. I always think they see us as light. And they see our energy body more than they're seeing our physical denseness, because they're existing at a completely different frequency. I don't think they can see us in the way that we would think they do, which is, just as if they're just walking in the room and seeing us like we see our surroundings. Because what's reality anyway? It's all atom molecules fizzing around, and I think we. I think light has something to do with it, not to get too deep.
Right.
But I don't think they do see us in the same way that we may imagine they do.
Right.
And I think that they're literally a thought away. And as your mother's holding that thought for you and concern for you, because she's left you on your own, It would have been very hard for her to leave you behind. But again, you see, was she stuck? No, she wasn't. It's a choice, and she had to move when she was ready to.
Right.
And at the time, she wasn't ready to.
Right.
And again, that's a kindness in a way. It's a choice. It's the whole free will thing, isn't it? She had the choice to move into the higher dimensions of spirit at her own pace.
And I think it helps too from us on this side. Like I said, we can never tell people how to grieve. Grieving is a personal thing, and we're never going to stop missing them and loving them and missing their hugs and talking to them. So I tell people, well, why aren't you? This is the difference. If you're in a car and that song comes on, and we all know what I mean, that song that person loved or you loved with it or means something to you according to that person, instead of turning it off because you don't want to deal with the emotion and the pain, turn it up and sing. Talk to them while it's on and go, do you remember that time that we went and, this thing happened and we laughed? Turn it from a sad, lower vibrational energy into a higher vibrational laugh, memory, love emotion, and send that energy to them. And in turn, you're giving it to yourself. You're going to feel better. You're not going to miss them any less. You're not going to, do you see what I'm saying? You're not taking away the importance of the emotion of the sadness and the missing, but you're celebrating the memory. Does that make sense to you?
No, it does make sense to me because, death does end a physical life, but it doesn't end a relationship. That relationship for me continues on. And, when my loved ones pass, I do continue to send my thoughts out or to sing to them or say happy birthday or, because for me, I believe that love has not just finished and cut off and died and gone. They're there. And so actually what I want to do is honor their lives and live in celebration of them. And because I understand that they then also benefit from that, from me doing that, like you're saying, they're benefiting from that too, aren't they? They're receiving that.
Good energy.
And I know, absolutely. And many of my clients say to me, well, I know they're okay. They know I'm all, they know they've survived. It's me. I feel cut off. I hear clients sometimes quite resentfully saying, it's great they're okay, but I'm not, because I can't feel them and I can't feel them sending me positive energy and love, and I can't feel the support that they're giving me, and I don't know they're with me, and I'm questioning it. And I understand that frustration. And other clients seem to get stuck in their grief because they feel that if they move on and bring happiness into their lives, that they are in some way forgetting the suffering that their loved one went through and the fact their loved one lost their life too soon, or,
True.
So actually I believe that understanding that relationship does continue on. And that the emotional love and connection you had with them in physical is still there. And that when you're sending that love out to them or remembering them or even being cross and shouting at them, you are still continuing to honor and love and acknowledge, I think is what the word I'm trying to find, acknowledge their presence. I mean, they love that. And I believe that we feel better for it.
Yes. Don't feel guilty that you're acting happy because you should feel sad. That's what I'm trying to say as well. I'm very sad. I mean, she died in 1976. I miss her every day. However, instead of, I used to, I was in another state and I used to think, gosh, I would love to be there on her birthday or Christmas to make her a grave blanket or visit the grave and stuff like that. And then I went through the different things of, growing up and getting through my teen years and everything else and thought, she's not there. I'm going to go buy flowers and I'm going to arrange them in a vase in my very own dining room or kitchen. And I'm going to talk to her while I do it. And in that case, we're both enjoying the flowers together. because I believe she can see them. And later on in life, I came across people who could tell me she actually did. So
That's it.
what's it hurting to do that? What's it hurting to be thinking of your dad, or, even a lost pet or something like that, and having a cardinal come to a window and sit there for a minute and look at you? Did you think that was a message from spirit? Yes, I see you. I'm here. Not that the person is the cardinal. It's possible that they sent it as a signal. What's it hurting to believe that? How did it feel when you saw it? Did you get a warmth? Did you feel a happiness? So why are we talking ourselves out of that? I think we talk ourselves out of more miracles than we think we experience, and I think those are little miracles. I'm going to share this with you and see what you think. My son was in a terrible car accident. All my listeners know that. Well, when he finally did get out of hospital, had a traumatic brain injury, and I had to relocate him, and I just threw everything in a truck, rented a truck, and drove him across 6 states. Actually, it turned out to be 9 states because we took some U-turns. But the whole travel through. And there was times I'm driving that truck that I can't see well at night. He was having, bless his heart, seizures, and we were just trying to laugh through it and get to we kept saying, you just got to make it to the next Cracker Barrel. It's like, if we just make it to the next restaurant and have a cup of coffee and some eggs and some toast, we'll be okay, and we'll go to the next one. Little spots, And somewhere around North Carolina, I kind of grabbed a hold of the steering wheel, and I'm like, oh God, I got to get through this. Somebody, help me get through this, because there's so much traffic, and this is, something like 1,300 miles was turning into 1,800 miles because I was trying to avoid major highways, because a lot of the whooshing cars would give him seizures and make me nervous. And so we were trying to get through it. And right away, at the last week in October, it's cold, chilly. I'm in North Carolina. A monarch butterfly cuts through 6 lanes of traffic. I see it coming. Gets right in front of the windshield of my truck. And I'm driving a huge Penske truck. Right in front of the windshield, and just starts going through traffic. And that butterfly, that monarch butterfly, stayed in front of my truck for at least 100 miles.
Wow.
Now, that's not possible. It's not possible for a butterfly on its own to stay with a truck, I would say somewhere between 80 and 100 miles in front of the truck. And I'm looking at my son, I'm going, that's your grandma. And I don't mean the butterfly is my mom. I'm saying she sent that because she's leading me through this.
Yeah, I believe that they draw our attention to these things, yes, so that we understand that they're close. I've told the story before, but it still gives me shivers. Yeah. That I was sitting around the table at Christmas with my family, and we'd been sat there for a couple of hours. It's winter, no doors open, no windows open, nothing. We'd had all our dinner on the table. We knew what was on the table. Yeah. And my daughter started just saying to me that she'd learnt at school that, if we see a feather, it can be a sign from heaven. Aww. And she asked if I believed in it. And so I said to her, yes, I do. I believe in those signs. And she was questioning it. I love that about her. She doesn't just accept. So she was questioning, I don't know, it could have just come off a bird, couldn't it? Or perhaps she walked it in, came out of a cushion. So I bet I wasn't having a go at her. I was laughing. Right. But I just said, don't ignore the signs. And I banged my hand down on the table. And as I lifted my hand up, there was this big white feather under my palm of my hand. Wow. And we were all shocked, to the point where it was all like a moment, yes, all of us at the same time. And she's accusing me of having it up my sleeve and doing a magic trick, just for that very moment when she might have brought that conversation up. But it's those times when you either choose to dismiss it and rationalize it, or see it for what it is you're being shown something here, Right.
It's so true.
And
And you talk ourselves out of it. We always talk
we
ourselves out of
do.
it. And, that's the skeptic in all of us. We all do that. Oh, come on. It's like I walk into a store and I can remember being out. And when you get open to this, I promise it happens more because you see it more and they know you're paying attention. So you're going to get the 1111. You're going to get the numbers. You're going to get I remember once asking Archangel Michael for help. I really needed some protection and to cleanse my house and stuff going on. And I said, I wholeheartedly believe I need you. Come on, Mike. That's just kind of the way I am now. It's like, Mike, I need you. And I'm talking to my son and I'm like, you have to understand that once you open up to this, it's coming. You ask for help, they're going to help you. It might not be the outcome you think, but you have to allow your free thinking to allow that, because that's how life is. We're having that talk and I turn the corner and I stop at a red light and the car in front of me, the license plate, I promise you, my hand to God, Michael. And
right.
I punched my son in the arm and I go, discount that. And I'm like, do you think that I called this guy who had a license plate to meet me at the thing and just sit at the red light so I could tell you this story and wind up here? I said, if you can discount that, you see what I mean? And he's just, oh, and I was like, I know. But it's so cool. Life can be so cool if we just pay attention to the little mile markers. And I know that you and I talked to this, but this is the fastest hour I've ever had, Claire. I love you so much. But it's so rejuvenating. Everything I've got right now, all my nerve endings just going off like crazy. I just feel full of sunshine. But people are going through holidays right now, and this is going to come out right before Christmas and the New Year's, and all of those seem to be the times because we're unpacking the Christmas balls from Grandma and from Mom, and we're looking at those little baby pictures and things like that we put out, traditions, and we often wonder what are our loved ones on the other side, pets included, doing for the holidays. And I think I know the answer to that, but I want to ask you, what do you think they're doing for the holidays?
Well, I based on many, many readings, everything I talk about with you is only what I've ever experienced myself. I've put it all to the test myself. So based on the readings I've done over 23 years, I have often been shown that they're drawing close to us because of that connectedness, because of the fact we all come together, because they can be in the room with us and there's everybody there. And because we, for the most part, try to find something within us of the Christmas spirit, don't we? Try to access something joyful, we're just in a better mood. I believe that lifts us up and closer to them because it raises our vibration and frequency, our emotional state of being, and they feel that they join close to us. So I know that many of them are coming close, and I know there's many people out there who have just lost somebody, who are grieving, who cannot even stomach the idea of Christmas, let alone get a decoration out. And the way I try to look at it, for me anyway, I've got a love affair with fairy lights. I write about this actually in the book, because when I see those little lights twinkling, it reminds me of spirit and brings me closer to them.
Beautiful.
And I believe, but Christmas is about that for me. It is about me feeling closer to that aspect of the magical and the spiritual. And I know that our loved ones join and come close to us, and they want us to celebrate. Now, even when we don't feel like it, and I can totally get it. I did a reading in the week for a parent the other day who's lost their child. It's the first first Christmas since they've gone, and they're at the point at the moment where they feel their life's over. Be kind on yourself. If you don't want to get those decorations out, it's not the end of the world.
Don't force yourself, right? Right.
Exactly. There's nothing worse than the holidays to highlight to you just how unhappy you're feeling when everyone else seems to be skipping about. It just is a difficult time.
Yes.
But at some point when you feel stronger, just know that they want you to celebrate life, live well, be
Yes.
joyful. And
Yes.
if you're putting a tree up and it gives you that spark of feeling within you that raises your emotions, you bring yourself closer to them. And that's why they love coming close at this time of year, because I just think when you think about it, most of us are coming together. We're trying to find happiness within ourselves, enjoyment, connective, feel connected to people, try not to be lonely, all the things that are the teachings of the whole of the spirit world. We do try to do. I mean, we're losing our way with the materialistic side of things and the spending of the money and whatnot, but when family come together, even if they're arguing,
Right. Right.
our loved ones in spirit are there with us,
Mm-hmm.
and there's everyone in the room. Why wouldn't you come?
Right.
You just know that they're all going to be there. You're going to be there with them,
Well, that's
and
just it.
raise a glass.
Raise a glass to them. Absolutely. I think I don't, I'm going to take the word think. I know they hear it. They hear it. And the thing is too, is if you're like, we'll go back to Eeyore, it's so hard because this advice is coming from someone who knows grief. I've been there. I've seen it. Grief is probably one of the ugliest places I've ever been. Because you don't know how to walk out of that darkness. You don't know how to get that weight off of you. You don't know how to heal your heart. And I'd say probably don't try. Just find a pinpoint of light and walk towards it. So if it's a chocolate bar and a hot chocolate and a sad movie and you want to cry, do it, but then get back up. Go do something that makes you happy. No matter what whatever it might be. It might be taking out that Christmas ball that you miss Grandma and it belonged to her. Hang it on the tree and say, "I love you, Grandma. I'm sending you good energy," just like the song. Just think of something good to say, or dance, or think of something happy. All the happy things and the times they made you laugh, and of course we're going to miss them through that. And you're not I don't know what the word I'm looking for. You're not making light of it. You're not
minimalizing what's happened.
Not. Exactly. You're not. You're celebrating in that way. And I find that more good things happen from that. And I believe it also helps them. I've had the proof of it multiple times, not just from myself, but most of the time I can only talk about what's happened to me, what I've seen happen around me. Here's a little Christmas story for you, if you allow me. Last year before, it was the first year after I brought my son home, and he was going through all the trauma of everything that was happening to him, and because of the brain injury, he could not watch any TV at first or be around it because the flashing would give him headaches and maybe cause seizures and stuff like that. We had to walk very carefully through all of those things, but I found that he could watch black and white movies, old black and white movies, without all the new cinematic flashings and stuff, just the old movies and things. So while we were getting ready for Christmas, I believe it was the week before Christmas, somewhere around in there, we're watching Harvey. If you haven't seen that movie, everybody go watch it. Jimmy Stewart, big invisible rabbit, fantastic movie. So we're watching that and just laughing through it. And he enjoyed it. And in between the two movies that they showed on, I guess it was Turner Classic Movies or whatever, they show little clips of Christmas movies and things. Well, in between this clip that came on was my mother's favorite tenor, Mario Lanza. And he's an old, he was in a lot of movies, beautiful singer, around the 40s. So I knew that was her favorite tenor. I grew up with her, introducing me to these things. And he happened to be in this little movie clip where he's singing with an all-boys choir, and he's singing Ave Maria. And I tapped my son on the shoulder. I said, "Listen to this." I said, "This is Grandma Peggy's favorite Christmas song, and this is her favorite singer." I said, let's listen to it for her and just enjoy this. And he listened, and he loved it. We talked about it afterwards, about the Latin and stuff and what it meant, and it was all so cool. And after it was over, we just felt good. We just felt good. Now, about a week later, I'm talking to one of my friends about, I was getting her a job. She was a medium and she was going to do an old Victorian seance for a friend of mine. And my friend I knew, but this medium I'd never known because our medium got sick and she got the flu and she couldn't show up. So I was trying to interview some other ones that they had connected me to. Never met the lady before. And I'm on the phone with her and we're talking about the significance of the situation in the evening and directions and things like that. She goes, I got to stop you. She says, I've got this woman and she's trying to get through and she's not going to shut up till I tell you. And I kind of laughed a little bit because I had a feeling who it might be. And I leaned on the counter and I said, okay, just tell me. And she starts to tell me. She starts to describe the person, the essence of the person. And I'm just very carefully going, yes, no, yes, just like we do. And she's telling me, okay, she goes, yeah, I don't know. She goes, was she a religious woman? And I said, no, pretty much more spiritual. She had her beliefs, but she was more spiritual. Why are you asking me that? She goes, because she's standing there at the top of her lungs singing Ave Maria. And I just, as soon as she said it, Claire, it hit me like a ton of bricks. I almost fell down in my kitchen. As much as I've had it happen, they still get you, don't they?
Oh, yeah,
and
definitely.
She's telling me this, and she says, why is she singing that? I said, I know why she's singing that. And she says, okay, she's holding up her hand. She's pointing at you. She's going, she's got it. She's got it. She goes, my grandson, she said, my grandson heard this song. I was there. She's telling me I was there. I heard him hear this song. And the tears just poof, come down down my face. And she said, she's got her arms crossed in front of her now and she's smiling. She goes, that's my baby. You're her baby. I said, yeah, I'm her baby. And she said she was there. And I said, Merry Christmas, Mama. And just then, I'm not even going to be able to say it because I just got choked up. Me, big old tough me. Just then, she walked through me, Claire.
You felt it.
I felt her go through me. My whole body warmed up and I felt like I got a hug. And I never said a word. The lady on the other end said, she just hugged you. And I said, she sure did. Now, I tell you that story for every person out there who's lost a loved one, every person out there who's grieving. Please, please know they see you. Please know that love never dies. Please know that the more you open up to it, the more they can open up to you. And accept that love that they're sending you because they're not dead. They're right there with you. And that's just my message. So there you go, Claire. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Yes, and it echoes beautifully. If we think back to the beginning of the interview and you were saying about what the dead are dying to teach us, you have echoed beautifully and encapsulated what's in what I've written. I mean, this is what I want people to know.
Yes.
So that they can live freer, happier lives and that they can find a tomorrow again, which is sometimes very difficult at first when you're suffering with grief, that there is a tomorrow and it can be a content place even with the grief. And to me, the grief is a mark of the love and you wouldn't want to be without it because it is a mark of how much you love. And like you say, that love never dies. And if there isn't a time of year when it's absolutely, you should be guilt-free to embrace that. If it's not Christmas, I don't know when.
Isn't that the truth, darling? And I think that's really the essence of Christmas, wherever you say, whether it's Christmas or Hanukkah or whatever you're celebrating, the essence, the core essence of all those things is a thankfulness for where we've been and a hopefulness for where we're going. And all of us that have come with. And if we just open up and understand that it's not just the people you've known in this lifetime or on this earthly plane, it's all your ancestors that walked before you, because if they weren't, you wouldn't be. So it's everything, and it's everybody that you're leaving after you. We're all connected in a way. We're all part of that vast ocean. We might be just drops of water or a mist in, on the wind, but we're still a part of that vast ocean, and we're all connected. So if I had a friend once who told me that he knew that when we passed, we'd go through all the things we did in life. And he had learned from passing, having a near-death experience and coming back, that you go through those things that you did or how you affected somebody. So he became a hugger. And somebody asked him once, he goes, "Why do you hug so much?" He goes, "I'm not hugging you, I'm hugging me. Because when I die again, I'm going to go through that, and I'm going to need the hugs on the other side."
Oh my God, I love that.
How cool is that?
It's so cool.
Yeah, and if you think about that, I started hugging. It's like I'm going to be kinder to my reactions to people. I don't know what they went through today, and you start thinking a little bit more about that, and again thinking about they're watching you on the other side too, and they understand that we don't know everything. They understand that we're going to stumble and fall and do things, but remember them in love. And as I promise you, it's never going to be easy, but it becomes easier with each tiny baby step that you take. Each tear that falls, let it become a step forward into your own happiness, into your own life experience. And that honors them, and it honors you. And I can't tell you, Claire, how much I've enjoyed this today.
Thank you so much, Cisco. I really feel that at this time of year where everybody feels lonely, not everybody, but where a lot of people feel lonely, if we can, between us having this conversation, just help people to know they're never alone, and that, and that this community you're creating is just so important. I think the message you're getting out there is so important, and I just thank you so much for having me on. It's always a pleasure, and I learn so much from you just listening to you talk. It's the light in the world, isn't it, we're creating?
It is, and I learned so much from you, and I think that we were put together for a reason, because I just feel elated, and I hope people that hear this will get the same effect. If we can help one person take that step forward, then we've done something here.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And your books are absolutely, and I'm not just saying that. I don't have people on and just, whatever you want to blow smoke, The books are absolutely fabulous. They are healing. They are a hug on paper. They are a warmth. They are light on page. Please read the books. If you don't have time to read, if you're one of those that it just doesn't have time, please listen to the YouTube channel. You have a fantastic lineup of some of them are shorter than others, but they're right to the point, boy, and they are filled with an education on life and how to get through it. And there was one I loved about the difference between a medium and a psychic. I highly recommend watching that one and all the others. And tell us where to find you, Claire, and how to get the books and how to find the channel.
Thank you. Well, the channel's called Together with Spirit because I think it's a play on words again. We want to get together and meet with spirit, gusto, and enjoy life, take life with both hands and be together with our spirit loved ones. It's a challenge trying to get those videos out. So bear with me, everybody, because I am very, very busy. But the idea is to hopefully give you something that you can use, a thought for the day, maybe a meditation, knowledge about mediumship, education about to do with your own development. It covers a whole host of things. And actually in the future, I would love to have maybe you on, Cisco, and have guests on to chew over the fat.
Oh, I love that. I love that.
I just think we learn when we chat. Mm-hmm. So that's the YouTube channel. My website is www.clairebroad.com. I have an amazing community on Facebook at Medium Claire Broad on my Facebook page. Just lift one another, help each other through. So kind and caring the people on there. So come and find me there. And then, yes, my books are on Amazon. So Answers from Heaven and What the Dead Are Dying to Teach Us. And I'm just sort of everywhere at the moment.
Isn't that wonderful? And you have such a light and such a bubbly essence of, some people can have a bubbly essence and it's, it's a soda pop. You know, you have champagne bubbles, my love, and they're filled with light, and it's absolutely just, oh, it's so wonderful to see somebody come through similar paths that I came through. We all take different roads, but to know we're on this side of it, I'm so pleased to be on this side of our journey, because I wouldn't want to go through that again. We both said in the beginning, we're done. This is it for us. We are done. Claire and I are meeting on a beach on the other side, and the other side is going to be a field of lavender, and we're going to be drinking, champagne and just toasting everybody that's still here and just trying to help you along, because we're done. Aren't we, love?
Absolutely. I don't intend to come back into this physical form again.
Oh, man. Man. Well, thank you, love. You have a beautiful day and a beautiful Merry Christmas to you and yours and all our loved ones. And I could just imagine all our spirit guides are probably gathered right now, and they're just all toasting us because we did okay.
Oh, well, that's such a lovely image. I love it.
Yeah.
And you too. You have a lovely Christmas, and your listeners, I'm wishing them the very best, and whatever it is that they would wish for themselves in 2020, I wish that for them too.
Absolutely. Be careful what you wish for. You might just get it, guys. All right, love. Goodbye, and happy holidays to all.
Bye.